introductions, and thank you to all the attendants for being here. As you can see, this webinar is going to be recorded, and later on, once we have all the groups active, the webinar will be available in both the Coding at Schools and the STEM feature group of the Twinning platform. So first of all, let's take a quick look at the agenda of what is going to happen today. We're going to have a very quick and fast intro presenting both the Coding at School and the Twinning STEM feature groups. Then we will have Alessandro Bagliolo, and he will be delivering a keynote on what's Hour of Code. Then we will have Tomaso, and he will also give us more insights into Hour of Code and the community and the network that is around this grassroots initiative by the EU Commission. And finally, we are very lucky to have with us two teachers, Eva Toth and Francisco Macero, and they both will share with us how they implement the Hour of Code activities within their groups. Finally, as always, we will have like a Q&A for any questions that you might have over the webinar or something that you would like to get a more deep dive inside. So first of all, I introduce myself. My name is Rafael Montero. I am the STEM teacher at the Spanish school in Asturias, in the north of Spain. And well, as you can see, I belong to a lot of fellowships like Twinning, Scientix, and Future Classroom Lab. Additionally, I am the moderator of the STEM feature group, and you have right there my Twitter handle, which is, as you can see, Rafael MB. And I mainly put there things dealing with my teaching profession, and the activities that I do. So what is a STEM group? It's a feature group. As you know, since 2015, in eTwinning, there has been feature groups, which are groups that are under the guidance of the Central Support Service in Brussels. And prior to the change in which we are right now, by the merging of both the school education platform, we had over 11,000 members. And mainly, we deal with all this kind of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and especially one of the main focus that we had at our group was sharing European STEM projects with our members, our community, and try to foster eTwinning, Erasmus+, and all these kind of projects. So that's enough on my part, and I leave the floor to my colleague, Stefania.
Hi. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. I am very glad to be here today with Rafa and our special guests that kindly accepted our invitation. In this webinar, we would like to talk about the importance of using coding and STEM at schools. The job market is demanding digital competencies, critical skills, problem-solving capacity more and more. Students need to be prepared for facing the challenge of a complex world. Moreover, we need to improve our teaching methodologies according to the changes of our society due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the digital fast running. These are important reasons why we need to propose new motivating activities and opportunities to our students. Participating in Hour of Code means doing 1 hour of computer science activity, and it's for all learners, all ages, and it's available in over 30 languages. No previous experience is required, and activities are easy and self-guided. In this way, we can have a chance to learn and improve fundamental skills, no matter what the student's job field is in future. You can use any device, computers, smartphones, tablets. Students can work together in pairs or groups and enjoy themselves. With regards to unplugging activities, you don't need any computer or device, and you can also arrange a lesson outdoor. In order to plan your activity, you can choose within the Code.org proposals. There are more than 100 tutorials about basic concept, and you can find many popular characters and cartoons that kids like. For example, Angry Bird, Ice Age, Flappy Bird, Anna and Elsa from Frozen. You can fit the best for your students. Well, Hour of Code is just a pretext to code because we use coding in our classrooms all year round. But it's a great occasion to celebrate the coding practice altogether. This year, we are celebrating EU Code Week 10th birthday. Some days ago, there was an event to announce the 71 awarded Code Week schools among the 6 pilot countries. And teachers and students participated and showed their enthusiasm and energy. There are many reasons to teach and learn how to code. One of these is that students can use their creativity, and in future they will be able to create their own jobs in a technology-driven world. Furthermore, students can collaborate and develop their critical thinking and social skills. Last but not least, coding is funny, and there is nothing more important than having fun while learning. As an eTwinning moderator in Coding at Schools, I like giving suggestions to all the members of the group and take inspiration from all of them. We propose common tasks and coding games to play online together with our classes. We also share eTwinning projects, and we use coding to reflect on global problems and on the goals linked to sustainability and the Agenda 2030. We always try to link the coding and the eTwinning world. Both coding and eTwinning have the same aim. That's to say, pushing on collaboration and cooperation within teachers and students to experiment and create best practices, putting the learners at the center of their learning process. It's a constructivist concepts, and it's also underlined by Mitch Resnick when he says that by providing young people with opportunities to work on projects based on their passions in collaboration with peers in a playful spirit, they can help prepare for a world where creative thinking is more important than ever before. Lots of my projects are based on coding. On the eTwinning platform, we had 2 editions of Coding to Save the Planet that received national and international prizes. Coding with AI, focusing on artificial intelligence, using unplugged activities, visual programming and robotics to reach the goals of the Agenda 2030. To find solutions for a sustainable lifestyle and to build a new active citizenship for our students. In all of them, thanks to coding, we focused on the importance of being a new kind of world, to create models to fight climate change, reduce pollution, improve air quality, and avoid waste with the aim of promoting a culture of peace. We have learned with the help of coding, programming, and robotics that each of us can make the difference. Before giving the floor to my colleagues, to our experts, I want to thank my great partner, Rafa, the team from EU Code Week, the eTwinning staff, our guests, and of course, all of you that strongly work to offer the best education to our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefania. And I have to apologize because I didn't introduce you properly. As you can see in the slide, Stefania Altieri is an Italian teacher and she's currently working at the Ministry of Education. Obviously, she loves ICT, as she has thoroughly demonstrated through her speech and digital education, and she believes in the teacher role in training new generations for a better and responsible future. And again, you can see both her Twitter handle and her mail right over there. So now let's go to our next keynote. So we have Alessandro Bagliolo. He's a professor of computer systems at the University of Urbino, and he's the coordinator of Code Week Ambassadors. and the author of Coding Methods and Tools, and his Twitter handle is Neutral Access. Alessandro, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure, of course, to be here to speak about Hour of Code and coding. Um, as you all know, fall every year is a very good time for experiencing coding, because we have both the Hour of Code and Europe Code Week in a few months. This doesn't mean that the rest of the year is not suitable to practice coding, but this means that in these couple of months we are called to try to concentrate as many activities as possible in order to make the difference, because also the size and the numbers something which is related with coding. This means not only that we are providing new opportunities to people who may be not yet involved in coding, but it also means that we can create such a movement that makes coding visible also to those people who are not directly involved. And that's one of the reasons why both Europe Code Week and the Hour of Code are basically organized as grassroots movements, because we want people to be together in order to make the difference. And the Hour of Code with respect to Europe Code Week is very similar, but there are some differences that I would like to point out in order to add to the motivation to take part in the Hour of Code and to also contribute in Code Week, because these two initiatives are not competing, but they are cooperating with each other, because they are mainly focusing exactly on the same goal, which is allowing as many people as possible to experience the thrill of coding, which means just having the opportunity of providing instructions to an ideal performer. And this is something that opens our mind. That is something different from what can be thought without experiencing what coding really means, because coding is about computer programming, and computer programming means having a programmable machine to be programmed. Programmable machines are said to be ideal performers in the sense they do only what we tell them to do. And in order to do so, we need to have a language, a suitable language, which allows us to be clear enough to explain a complex procedure in terms of fairly simple steps that can be understood by a machine. This means that the language needs to be formal, non-ambiguous, and that we need to explain it very, very clearly, much more clearly than we usually do when we speak with other human beings, because in this case we rely on the intelligence of other people, while machines have no intelligence at all, in spite of the artificial intelligence, which is a very nice research field and very promising research field. So what I mean is that when we experience coding, we should focus on the relationship between a programmer and the machine. And this relationship is something which helps us understanding not only what computer programming means, but also we end up understanding the procedure, the algorithmic procedure that we are trying to make the machine perform for us much more clearer than we already knew for ourselves. Because if you know very well how to do something, you not necessarily do also how to explain the same procedure to other people, because you rely on your own intelligence or your own intuition that cannot be exploited when there is a machine that needs to execute the procedure. So in order to make the machine execute the procedure for you, you have to explain the procedure in a much more detailed way. And this ends up providing some deeper understanding on the procedure for the programmer. And that's why coding has become so important also in teaching and in schools, not only because we want young boys and girls to have the opportunity of practicing coding and computer programming, but also because teachers, Stefania can say very well what I mean, can also exploit coding to make their topics more deeply understood by their pupils. And so what I mean with the hour of code, as I mentioned, that there are similarities and differences between Europe Code Week and the hour of code. And the hour, both initiatives were launched in 2013, so they basically they were born together. And the hour of code was a very effective slogan launched to celebrate the Computer Science Education Week in the US. And then it became very soon a global movement as Code Week, starting as a European initiative, is now also propagating and spinning off around the world. But the Hour of Code was also a portal providing a very simple and guided activity that was assumed to last more or less for 1 hour. That's why 1 hour of code. And the key difference is that the hour of code, the so-called hour of code, is exactly that activity, or one of the many activities that over the years have been developed and made available in many, many languages on the same portal, which is both called Hour of Code and Codeorg, that possibly are linked together. And the advantage of starting with this activity, which is also very well exploited during Code Week, is that if teachers decide to host 1 hour of code, they can leverage on the resources that are available on the portal of the Hour of Code, so that they don't need to be expert of computer science or expert of coding in order to Anya said, and this means that if you go into the portal of the Hour of Code, you are invited to host a 1 hour of code. This means that you are a host, you are not necessarily an organizer or someone proposing something else. On the other hand, coding activities are very, very open, both in the Hour of Code and in Europe Code Week. I already mentioned that during Europe Code Week, many people can take advantage of Hour of Code activities, but during the Hour of Code, you can still do whatever you want and organize any type of coding activity and still be participating into the Hour of Code. What I mean is just that the Hour of Code, this is not only a very effective slogan, but it is also a very valuable resource, which is very well structured. In particular, I like very, very much the very first activity, which was the classical maze proposed by Codeorg and the Hour of Code, because it has a great teaching potential, in the sense that in 1 hour you can experience and play with the key principle of computer programming without any prerequisites. So you don't need to know anything in advance, and that's amazing, because it's really something that works as an icebreaker for introducing people to the practice of coding. I'd like also to say something of coding and the reason why it is so important to practice coding and to take advantage of these initiatives. I already mentioned that Doing something all together makes a difference, and I'm strongly convinced about that. Right now, in 2022, more than 50,000 activities have already been uploaded into the Hour of Code portal, and more than 70,000 activities have already been added to the map of Europe Code Week. And I encourage all of you to keep adding your activities to both the portals in order to increase the impact and also to make this impact visible for both the initiatives. This is very, very important. And we have time, since both Code Week and the Hour of Code last for the entire year. We have time till December 31st to keep uploading our activities, and please do so and make these numbers even larger than the ones that I mentioned. And I really hope that by the end of the year, these numbers will be much higher. But what I would like also to mention is that coding activities, especially in schools, propose their pupils to play with coding and to practice coding. They are empowering them because they are exposing them to some computer programming that is not something that can replace computer science curricula. So computer science is a discipline that needs to be taught at school. And this is another topic. But practicing coding, taking advantage of visual programming, block-based visual programming, unplugged activities, and so on, allows people to experience the thrill of computer programming even without studying computer programming. And this means that at least it provides the full awareness of the potential of coding. And this is very, very important. This is a form of empowerment that needs to be provided to everybody, because this means that being aware of what coding means, boys and girls can, for instance, decide whether or not to undertake studies and careers on these topics. And they can only fully understand what's behind the computer programs that they usually use as users. And this also means that the awareness is the form of empowerment that provide no excuse for people for being left behind. So this is very, very important, because we are witnessing so-called digital transformation, and the true digital transformation is made by people, not by machines or by computer programs. So if we want to take advantage of the digital transformation, we need to apply the digital transformation to the processes, and the processes are made by people, and people have to be aware of the digital transformations that they are involved in. So please take advantage of the Hour of Code, enjoy the Hour of Code, because above all, this is fun, this is engaging, this is an inclusive activity. So coding is really for all, and that's why schools are the ideal place where to practice coding, because coding is for all, exactly like school. So thank you very much for having me here, and please keep organizing wonderful activities. I know that the eTwinning community is very, very active and provides great contributions to all these movements and these initiatives. So I really would like to thank all of you.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. And now we go to our next presenter. We have Tomaso Dalla Vecchia. He is working in European SchoolNet since 2012. And in many, many different projects and initiatives. He's now mainly engaged in awareness raising, education and training projects, focusing especially on digital skills and coding. He proudly supports currently the scale-up of EU Code Week, and you can find him in Twitter at tomaso.eu. So Tomaso, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rafael. Thank you, everybody, for inviting. I'm really happy to be here with all the eTwinners, as always. And again, I hope the information I'm sharing it's useful to many of you. I'll try to take control of the slide, perhaps. Hope it's fine. And I would just get started. So I would possibly also add to what Alessandro Bagliolo said about Code Week and Codeorg. So I'll try to compare a bit the two initiatives, but especially and more importantly, I'll try to convince you to take part to both of them. And if you have any question, don't hesitate to just ask at any time. I'd love that this would become actually a conversation. I've been working for quite a few years on Code Week initiative, and actually a few years ago, I was invited to go to Atlanta by the Codeorg representatives, because indeed, since then, we always try to partner together, because actually the aims of the two initiatives are so similar, as you will see. And I had the chance with my partner in crime, Nair Carrera Martinez, to attend a course in the US on especially on the CS computer science fundamentals curriculum that Codeorg was at the time refining and finalizing. It's a type of resource that I will actually present very briefly later as well, and that I find very, very useful. Hour of Code, as you've heard, it's a peak of the efforts of the Codeorg organization. So it's definitely something that is similar to the EU Code Week, but also different. And in any case, indeed, I mean, we don't believe that one single initiative would cater for all needs and would be enough just for everybody to feel empowered enough to take part, to explore and experiment with computational thinking and coding. So at least personally, I really welcome that there are many initiatives and many declination of programs that allows us to experiment with technology and give, as also the Codeorg vision states, give to every school and every student the opportunity to experiment with computer science in their case. And we like to broaden up when we talk about EU Code Week. So as also Francisco mentioned in the chat, try robotics, actually other computational thinking also approaches, unplugged activities, which is also a part of the CS fundamentals curriculum, and all other activities that actually could change the mindset we have towards technology, bringing us from being kind of consumers of digital content to active digital citizens and producers, creators of technology. So on the CS fundamentals, so this curriculum that it's for primary and middle schools, and it's just an example of all the material that Codeorg offers to all teachers across the globe. You would find resources that are also similar to the one that you would find in the Code Week website and portal. So actually, it's an extension in a way, it's other resources that you might find helpful, and you would find unplugged activities as you would find on the Code Week portal. And here you see a bit how they would look like. You have plugged activities that, of course, you would need a laptop to follow with your students. It's very easy step-by-step approach that, as was mentioned before, so I won't take much of your time here. It allows you to really get started even without any support to your students, apart to put them on the platform, and also a lot of lesson support, curriculum guides, and dashboards. So all of these materials is not available, however, in all the languages. So here, Code Week perhaps does a bit of an extra effort to get closer to teachers in all the countries. And because, as I like to say, in a way, Code Week is also a bit the version of the Hour of Code, which try to tailor and cater for European needs. We are a very diverse continent with many languages, many different contexts. And what we try to do with the U Code Week program is actually to offer a framework for schools to meaningfully introduce coding activities in their classes according to their specific needs, specific directions also from their ministries in the countries, in their own languages. And that's why we put a lot of effort in translated each and every resources that we make available in 30 languages. And you can imagine how cumbersome, how problematic that is sometimes, but we feel that it's very important to make all these materials accessible. Code Week is run by volunteers, so there's a large network of volunteers, teachers, representatives of ministries of education, entrepreneurs, experts, programmers, engineers that contribute to the Code Week campaign. And let's see what else I can tell you about it. Code Week is really tailored for school. Also, Codeorg is and the Hour of Code, but we try also to expand a bit the approach. The Code Week introduce coding and computational thinking also to encourage the uptake of innovation in education systems more broadly. So it's not just about programming. We just not advocate for introducing an hour of programming in the curriculum, but we try to use computational thinking and coding related activities to spice up in a way to make lessons more engaging, more fun, and allow students to take technology in their hands and see what they can do and design with that. Of course, also for Code Week, it's important to offer to all the students the possibility to make their first steps as digital creators. And we want and we hope we help and empower students to be better prepared to understand the digital world that surrounds them. How to get involved. This is an important point of this presentation because I know that maybe, and we encourage you to do so, you're preparing your Hour of Code activity, but you can also, and I think you should actually participate and keep registering your activity on the Code Week map. In this way, you actually get to share your experience with colleagues that are closer to you and perhaps also from other countries, other continents, and network with them. I think why it is interesting to do that, it's also because until the end of the year, so even though the Code Week peak campaign is over, until the end of the year, you still have the chance to register and pin your activities on the map. And it's a meaningful and rewarding activity, and actually could lead you to also get extra recognition. And many of the teachers that are participating to Code Week might wonder about the Certificate of Excellence, for instance. This is an award, a certificate that is provided only after the calendar year is over to all those organizers of activities that took part into alliances that managed collectively to organize 10 or more activities. And I must remember you that actually each activity should be organized by a different organizer in this case, or that has involved 3 different countries. And this is a meaningful initiative, I think, because it pushes you and everybody to connect with like-minded or different-minded teachers from other countries and learn from each other and open up our mindset and horizon in a way. And if you don't manage to join such a community, then you can still actually organize more than 10 activities and gain at the end of the year, again, the super organizer certificate. So I think all of these actually a chance to recognize your effort. And we hope that the Hour of Code and Computer Science Education Week now in December will be a boost also to keep reminding ourselves that every week is Code Week, because at any point of the year it's actually a good idea to use some innovative, more engaging teaching practices in our classes so that our students and pupils are simply more enthusiastic about coming to school, getting into the activities that we propose to them. Some other practical tips. There's actually a network, as I was mentioned before. So there's ambassadors in each and every country. And there are also leading teachers, as actually the one that are presenting and have been presenting so far, that are very eager and available to help you out, maybe inspire you and get a connection more strong and direct with the local context that you live into. So I recommend you to actually look at those pages and find who is closest to you in case you want to team up or help. And by the way, now very soon we will reopen the call for leading teachers and possibly for some ambassadors too. So we'll actually give the chance to other enthusiastic teachers to become part of this large family that counts about 500 innovative and enthusiastic educators. What else? There are many resources that are available and translated in 30 languages. There's others that are not translated in all the languages, but might be available in yours. And I would like to paste in the chat also another link that leads you to a page that hopefully help you digest all the information that is available in the portal and tells you a bit more about what's meaningful for schools in the Code Week initiative. You will see it's a lot. About 85% of the events, of the activities are normally organized within school. So we believe that, of course, many schools and many teachers find this opportunity interesting and meaningful and helpful to them. So we will continue doing our best to support you as much as possible. And I don't want to take more time of the presentation because I know that what's coming next is the most fun and interesting part by Francisco and Eva. So I'm also looking forward to hear actual practices. And I thank you very much for your attention and hope to see you on Code Week as well. Thanks again.
Thank you, Tomaso.
Thank you very much, Tomaso. And now we go to our next speaker, which is Eva. Eva is an eTwinning ambassador in Budapest, in Hungary, and she works at the Petric Lajos Vocational School, and she has been a teacher of English for over 11 years. She has experience in project-based learning and organizing thematic weeks, national and international projects and events such as the Digital Thematic Week, European Code Week, and Safer Internet Day. Her main focus at work is on intercultural and cross-curricular projects as they help her and her students to bridge the gap between education and the world of work. And you can find her on Twitter in EvaToth84. So Eva, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this wonderful invitation. I'm very happy to be here with you. So I'm here today as a teacher of English to tell you how we organize Code.org and Code Week activities, or give you a bit of an inspiration. To start with, it's quite a new fact that in Hungary, every second adult does not possess basic digital competencies. And I think that's something that we have to change. And this change has to start now. So when it comes to coding, either Code Week or Hour of Code in our school, what we mean by coding is basic problem-solving skills related to logical thinking and 21st century skills. And I hope to give you a bit of a teaser about what is happening at the Hour of Code in our school. As mentioned in my introduction, when it comes to European Code Week, we mainly organize thematic weeks related to a central topic. But what I'm here to tell you today is the Hour of Code that we are planning for this year. It's going to be an online project day where we once again think of coding as problem solving. Students will have to investigate a mystery murder case about who killed Santa Claus. So once again, they are secondary school students, and they have to work in teams. They will be given a map of Santa Town, and if they manage to solve the problems and the tasks, then the participants can get 2 clues per task. And in the end, they will have the chance to collect 14 clues to find out who killed Santa Claus this year. Actually, it was a resource for teaching of English. You can see the link here to the original one. We updated and made it a bit more coding. So let me show you what kind of tasks we have in mind. So once again, it will be an online project day. Students will work in teams, and they will be given a series of tasks then that can make them have clues. For example, as you can see on the left, they will have to decipher messages, for example, using their coding skills, or they will have to solve Sudoku riddles related to the topic of Christmas, and also to their English language skills. And there is one activity that is very, very popular in Hungary, which is, or in our school, which is the Pixel Art Challenge, because we implemented it during the European Code Week. The students, back at the Code Week, students have to make a Leonardo da Vinci painting using conditional formatting in Excel. And this time they have to create a photo or recreate the photo of Santa Claus using conditional formatting in Excel. So we will see how successful it will be. And also we are, as part of this mystery investigation, we are organizing a Christmas scavenger hunt, where you can see students have to look for things at home. For example, look for something that has a letter B in its English name, and they will be given only a very short time frame. And once they get all the clues using the map that they are given, once again, it's coding, because they have to find their way in Santa Town using this imaginary map. They will have to come up with the possible suspect of who murdered Santa Claus. So we are quite excited about this task and this challenge, and I hope it was a kind of an inspiration to you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you very much to be here.
Thank you very much, Eva, and for sharing with us this wonderful activity. Very inspiring. So please share with us how does it go. And now we go to our next speaker, which is Francisco Javier Masero. He's a Spanish secondary education teacher and a Code Week ambassador, currently working for the Ministry of Education and Employment of Extremadura in the west of Spain, and he coordinates the Future Classroom Lab program, as he is also a Future Classroom Lab ambassador. And he's the co-author of the lesson plan Coding for Sustainable Development Goals, and you can find him on Twitter at fmasero. So, Fran, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rafa. Hello, everybody. Greetings from Spain. Buenas tardes a todos. I'm going to share some activities that we are developing in our country. The first initiative is how to implement coding and robotics in Future Classroom Lab. This is a project that presents a new model for
Fran,
organizing.
excuse me. Remember to take control so you can move the slides, or if you want me to move them, yeah.
I can pass the activity. Can you see the slide?
No, you need to take control first.
Ah, sorry. Now, can you see the slide? No? Well, as you are, the Future Classroom Lab is a project present a new model for organizing educational spaces that divides the classroom in 6 learning zones: investigate, exchange, develop, interact, create, and present. In our country, with the arrival of the new educational law, robotics and computational thinking needs to be developed in all the subjects. And Future Classroom Lab are the best space to do activities with floor robots, drones, and boards, because you can better adapt the space to the characteristics of the activities that we are going to develop, using robotic tables, obstacles for drones, of Max, for example, to work on the floor, all it's easier. Well, I'm going to speak about robotics events. It's the second group of activities I can show you. We organize different activities for students and teachers to work with robots and to do coding activities. The first is Roboreto. Roboreto is a program that we develop with 3 types of exercise. Pequereto is for our youngest students with easy and plugged activities, working with robots like Bebot, for example. Roboreto presents students with different challenges to overcome working as a team. And finally, Invenreto is for secondary education students. They must to create new application of robotics, like how to use boards at home to program gadgets, for example, on how to automate plant watering, or how to solve engineering problems, for example, to build a bridge. Sorry. Another is Retotech. Retotech is for primary education students, and the objective is to build a model that presents an application of programming to solve a problem. It is very interesting to work with the Sustainable Development Goals, for example. And finally, one of the most interesting events that we are developed has been a robotics competition where many teachers organized in teams need to solve different tasks related to Mars, the planet. More than 150 teachers working collaboratively participated in this event organized by the E3X, an organization for teachers. Another interesting activity is CANSAT, a project developed by the European Space Educational Resource Office. The challenge is to build a little satellite with a parachute with different systems, power, sensors, the communication system, and register the trajectory of the launch. Students can be engineers of the European Space Agency and to enjoy with this interesting project. And finally, the last activity I present you is artificial intelligence and education. I show you 3 different applications that you can use in schools and high schools. For example, with artificial intelligence for oceans, you can train the machine recognizing which picture is a fish and which is a trash. The second, with Quick and Draw, you need to draw what computer says and he will try to recognize. And finally, with DALL-E2, AI system can create realistic images and art from a description in natural language. For example, if you put a red horse flying and using a kite, it's very crazy. Artificial intelligence will create some draws with this concept. Is, for example, ideal to create free licenses images because the author is a computer, not a people. And that's all. I hope you like them and that you can put them into practice with your students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fran, and especially for all these resources that you have shared with us. All this artificial intelligence, as you know, is very important now in education. Is something that we need to begin investigating a lot in. We have reached the end of the webinar, so if you have any questions, now it's the moment. So please feel free to use the chat to share with us any questions that you would like to have.
While we wait for any potential questions, I just wanted to say thank you for the speakers for taking the time to host this webinar today. It was really interesting, and I really hope that the participants got some nice activities and ideas out of it. So thank you guys as well for your time. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes left. If there are any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Otherwise, we will wrap up. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I think
I can share the link for the presentation if someone wants to keep it.
And of course, this is recorded, so this will be put up on YouTube in the next couple of days and put on the eTwinning Europe social media channels. So you will also be able to find it there.
Okay, this is the link I left in the chat.